Hello there and welcome to today's video. We're looking at the 10 women's goalkeepers that have the highest potential in the game. Some of them have dynamic potential, so when you start the game they could have a low potential or could be high potential, and every time you load up a new save it is always different. Starting with the highest rated keeper on the game, and this is one with a set potential. The first one is Ina Mahatmatovic from Bayern Munich. She has already signed for Bayern Munich, so is pretty decent. Already starts for Bayern Munich at 21 years old. Has the highest potential in the game for a goalkeeper. That doesn't include regens. 15 aerial reach, 5'10" isn't a bad height for this. Decent passing as well, reflexes, rushing out. Aggression, anticipation, pretty good. Decent sweeper keeper. Up to Manchester City. She is 2.5 stars from now for Manchester City, but early signs of a terrific sign for the future, with a decent scout report but not a full scout report. Value between 600 and 900k, so you are signing the best goalkeeper for a lot of years. Only 5 years in, just you're not going to have too many mistakes as well. Decent strength as well, so when she comes out for crosses she's going to be perfectly fine. At 5'10" as well, with fairly ambitious. Let's go through everything else. 21 years old, German international, has 1 cap for Germany. Useful backup for the first team. Came through MSV Duisburg Academy. Not sure about that one. And made a debut against Italy. So, Mahatmatovic, not even sure I'm pronouncing that right, is the highest potential women's goalkeeper on the game. The second highest rated goalkeeper on the game that only has a set potential is Cecilia Runastartdottir, being from Iceland. I believe that is pretty confusing name to pronounce. 21 years old at the start of the game, up to 22 now as it's gone past June, August. 16 aerial reach as well, 6'2", one of the taller goalkeepers. Already at a Blue Neri, which I believe is Inter Milan, on loan from Bayern Munich, and then made that permanent. Started in Iceland, what looks like a semi-pro team, and then went to another team. Had a spell at Everton, but didn't get anywhere past that. 22 years old, got some decent stats. Is the second highest rated on the game at 2.5 star current ability. A rating, terrific signing of the future as well, so agents agree. Made a debut against Northern Ireland in March 2020 and made 23 caps for her country. I know it is Iceland, but making 23 caps at 22 years old is pretty impressive. Serie A Women Goalkeeper of the Year, and won the champions in the German league as well, so that's pretty decent for Iceland. Probably between 450 and 450k, a little bit cheaper than the last goalkeeper, but that is the last goalkeeper. Who these two of the first two that I've shown you are the two highest rated. Because I am Manchester City, already got this one already at my club. 2.5 star current ability is a Manchester City's under 21s, value between 550 and 600k. Slightly lower potential than the last couple, but is an England international. Has been in the last couple England squads and even made a debut in real life. 21 years old, fairly ambitious. Look at her performance as well. Fairly one-footed and a competitive streak, a leading player for WSL 2 sides. Started through Manchester City, made a couple of appearances in the National League North with Fylde, and then Coventry United. A couple of seasons she was first team goalkeeper, but Manchester City, being at Manchester City, have signed a bit of a current ability player. Going through her stats, already 5'9", 60 reflexes, 15 handling, 15 kicking, already a sweeper keeper perfectly. 1 flair, 3 off the ball isn't too great, but 14 positioning. Got some decent pace as well. Having 10s and 9s, the goalkeeper is pretty good for sweeping. 8 first touch though, so maybe isn't completely perfect around the edges, but is 21 years old, England international, and this is the last keeper on the game with which actually has a set potential. Isabella Dam is the third player on this list. This is the first one with a dynamic potential. She does start us off as a free agent, but Brøndby have signed her as a free agent in this one. So I've had to simulate a bit just to get some scout reports in. 1-star current ability, 5-star potential on this one. C+ from the scouts at the moment. She's a little bit too young to get a lot of the plaudits so far. Going through performance, useful backup, pretty good at one-on-ones, pretty not too great at fitting in the core group. Doesn't apparently went through the Brøndby Academy. 13 aerial reach, 5'9", which is pretty decent for that one. 12 kicking, 13 one-on-ones, 13 reflexes, with a value between 10 and 65k. This is one of the cheaper ones on the list, being a free agent at the start of the year and a breakthrough prospect at Brøndby. The earlier you can get her and bring her into first team football would be easier, as you get a lot better value for your money. It's going to be a bit more of a long-term project, but definitely something you can get with a 3 first touch. Isn't the single best. With 1 to 6 determination, though, getting to that high potential might be a little bit of a task, but she definitely has the ability to get there. The next one on this list is 20-year-old Alberte Vignum Andersen, not very good with my Scandinavian names, from Denmark and Danish international, starts at HB Køge, wanted by Leicester, Manchester United, Racing Louisville and Barcelona, so she knows she's got a high potential. Only D from the scouts, not quite higher on this one, would need to learn the language if she was to come to England. Value between 4.5 and 35k. Got some decent aerial reach. At 6 foot and agility, it's pretty good. Maybe the ball playing needs a little bit of work, but because we are a couple countries away, the scouting isn't that too good, but having the first touch and composure maybe isn't the perfect goalkeeper, but for the amount she costs, if you can prize her away from the clubs that are interested in her from a big scale, then maybe you can have a decent goalkeeper with you. No reputation, with personality balanced. Decent left foot for being 20 years old as well. Denmark international. Early signs of a decent scoring side of her career at the same clubs that came through the youth academy. Made 60 appearances at 20 years old, so that's decent. I'm not sure how good the Danish league is, but it should be a good signing, especially if you're not at a top club. One of the youngest ones of the list is a first choice keeper at New Zealand, is Ella Maria Avasti, a Finnish international, 17 years old. Decent area reach, eccentricity is quite high, which isn't exactly a bad thing. Pretty good punching tendency, is more likely to catch it. Decent reflexes. Bravery as well. Nice little decent sweeper keeper. 5'7", so definitely one of the sweeper keeper. Is 17 though, so there's plenty of room to grow. Value between 0 and 1.5k. One of the very cheaper ones on this side. Didn't even crosses and high balls in the penalty area. Is definitely one of her strengths. Being a Finnish international and not a great club, but is getting a first team football, is pretty decent. Has stayed at North Zealand, not even sure to pronounce that. 16 position as well, which is even better. A fairly strong weak foot as well. For being 17, definitely a project keeper, but pretty young. If you can prize her away from Finland, pretty cheap wages as well. Does have a contract until the end of next season, so Ella Maria Avasti is the next on this list. Next one on this list is another 17-year-old. Scouts don't quite rate her as much, with only a 3-star in this current save. This is another one of those with the dynamic potential that the last couple have. 12 area reach, 12 handling, 12 kicking, 14 one-on-ones, definitely a good sweeper keeper, especially at 5'9". Left foot needs a bit of work if you are to make her more of a sweeper keeper and have some balls come out. Starts at Agram, Croatian keeper, 17 years old, already made her debut for Agram and played for Astra 1961 in the Croatian second league. Is it Croatia as well? It's currently valued at 0, so you could pick her up for a free potentially if you can price her away. It's 17 though, so I think you have to wait until 18 until you can sign foreign players if you are not from Croatia. But with a decent potential, depends on what game you start, and even for free, it might be a decent backup keeper. At 17 years old, is a very good keeper as well. Let's look at a media friendly as well, so perfectly in the media, useful backup to the first team. Another person with adaptation problems, and made a Croatia debut against Albania. Next one on this list is Alyssa van der Poel, who's the youngest keeper on this list, hasn't even signed a professional contract, and is also apparently a first team goalkeeper at Anderlecht, 16 years old, from Westerlo, came and trained at the Anderlecht Academy, and in Belgium, between a 4 and 26k value. Not sure on the scouting for the wage budget, it's going to be pretty small. 4.5 star potential, compensation of 0, so you could sign her pretty easily, especially on that youth contract. Some pretty decent stats for a 16-year-old, 13 handling, 12 kicking, 12 aerial reach as well, 5 for 10 as well, pretty decent reach. Punching tendency, pretty low as well, that's pretty good. First touch is a little bit low, and off the ball, it's a little bit low as well with a 5 composure as well. So it needs a little bit of work, but being 16-year-old, she has a lot of potential to go. Being a Belgium international soon enough as well will be perfect, especially if she can get some more games under her belt. Coming from Westerlo, where she played 19 games in the Super League, it's a pretty good start. Next one is another French, 20 years old at this point, another one with dynamic potential. He's already made 5 appearances for Olympic Lyon 2 and a couple of first appearances. Is this Lyon? I believe so. Division 1 in French. I don't know if they have 2 or women's leagues called Lyon. Anyway, 20 years old, got some decent stats. Look at a 5'5", so he's one of the shorter keepers on this list. Good at very good at organising her defence with 2-star current ability, 5-star potential at Manchester City. A little bit expensive for what she is at the moment, wanted by Barcelona, so she knows she's pretty good. And on that pipeline, off the ball, leadership and flair for someone who leads and organises the defence, pretty good. Having leadership and communication is pretty decent, but leadership isn't so much, along with a first touch that isn't quite good as well. Jumping reach as well, being 5'5", is going to have a little bit of problems with value between 300 and 350k early signs. Very good signing for the future, probably going to make the French national team as well. Good at organising her defence, and we haven't fully scouted her, so we don't know everything, but we've got a decent little way of tricking. And that is the last one for the dynamic potentials. The last one on this list doesn't have a dynamic potential, but is unfortunately not quite the quality for Manchester City. Up to 2.5 stars, so it might be a decent backup. Value between 0 and 18k. Pretty cheap on the wage budget as well, through with Bayern Munich. So it has decent pedigree. Played a little bit in pre-season as well. 17 years old, can't scout her properly because of her being in a youth setup. First touch needs a bit of work. One-on-ones maybe need a bit of work. It's definitely a developmental keeper, or a keeper if you're not quite at the highest of the leagues. Maybe finding her if she's on a free contract or anything like that. With a contract until the end of next season, that's not too bad as well. Decent weak foot, but not the best. 3 out of 5 isn't. 3 out of 6, I believe, is not too bad as well. And Sophie Clean is the last one on this list. That is the end of the goalkeepers for this list. If you are interested in more positions, subscribe to the channel. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.